We've all seen it. Daily Devotions with the Reverend Peter Panagore. He is the modern version of what was begun on WCSH radio by the Reverend Howard O. Huff in 1926.
Oh, it was a good idea, all right. It reached all the way from Nova Scotia to Provincetown at its radio height, and even on Armed Forces Radio Network at one point. It was a capable mechanism for the distribution of the good news.
This ministry has faced good times and bad as our country has ebbed and flowed through the last century. Peter points out that the first radio parish church spread much the same way that early Christianity did.
When Christianity was formed, the reason why that it spread was its acquisition of the new technology of letter writing. We think of letter writing as this very common thing, but it was not. It was the newfangled, far-reaching idea of communication. And that's the same sort of thing that you got out of AM radio, and then FM, and then TV.
Surviving the Depression and World War II, the first radio parish added stations in Augusta and Bangor under the largesse of the Rhines-Thompson family. When the family bought TV stations in the 50s, they donated time to a morning message delivered by Franklin Cole, Ernest Case, David Glusker, and beginning in 2003, Peter Panagore.
I always wanted to help relieve the suffering. I always want to help people turn to their faith, because why is faith important? Why does belief matter? Because it opens the inner door to the light that's inside you. And until you make that choice, you can't see it. And unless you make that choice, it's very difficult to see.
As times changed, people turned away from religion as the cost of producing TV skyrocketed. The first radio parish church began a gradual but consistent decline. Messages went from being shot in the studio to more economical field locations. In the past few years, Peter has become a one-man band, writing, shooting, editing, and post-producing pieces from his tiny studio at his home in Booth Bay.
I could do one piece a week on my own, and that included a day or two of writing. So each piece is 260 to 270 words, which doesn't sound like a lot, except for they have to be the right words in the right order with the right structure to keep the message contained. Yes.
It makes 260 words.
That's right. It's cut, cut, cut. And shape, 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 and reform and reform.
Television has changed and is declining as well. The donation of a minute a day amounts to a fortune each year. The parish's time went from 6:15 a.m. to 5:15 a.m. 5 years ago. 2 years ago, it went from 7 days a week to one, with hope the church could spread the news via social media. It's fair to say that Paul's letter to the Corinthians struggled with the jump to Twitter.
One of the reasons we couldn't make the jump to social media is that we were producing video for television. Yeah. And the difference between the two styles is enough to turn viewers away. We weren't anywhere near our budget, not even close to coming to it, and for the last 2 years. And we have no foundation to speak of underneath us.
Peter will continue as an author, lecturer, and is developing a children's television show. The daily devotions of the First Radio Parish Church will end on February 25th, 2018 at 7:15 in the morning. Peter says his goodbye will be a slight divergence only from his usual message.
I only have one message ever in every single devotion I ever wrote. It's only about one subject, and that is God is love, and you are beloved. And if you share love with the people who love you and the people who don't, and you accept love from the people who love you and the kindness of strangers, your treasure increases.
First Radio Parish Church was thought to be the oldest daily broadcast of religion in America. It lasted for more than 90 years based on an ancient message carried first by letter, that we should love our neighbors as ourselves.